In the rush of our daily lives, we often find ourselves making quick decisions about others, forming judgments in an instant. We glance at someone, and in that split second, we think we know their story. But is it really that simple? Can we ever truly know what someone is going through just by looking at them? Take Sarah, for example. She's juggling the demands of work and motherhood. Her toddler's throwing a tantrum in the middle of the store, and the looks from other shoppers say it all. Some are annoyed, others seem to judge her for not controlling her child. But what they don't see is the sleepless nights she's endured, the emotional exhaustion from trying to balance it all. She's doing the best she can, yet in that moment, to the world, she's just the disorganized mom. In these moments, it's easy to assume the worst. But if we look a little deeper, we might understand. We might see the strength behind the weirdness, the love behind the frustration. It's all too easy to judge what's on the surface, but sometimes the real story is hidden beneath it. Now, consider Lucas. He's a quiet teenager, sitting in a cafe, absorbed in his phone. To some, he might seem distant, antisocial, perhaps even rude. But what if he's dealing with something deeper? What if his silence isn't indifference, but a reflection of anxiety or loneliness? What if the world he's navigating feels overwhelming, and his phone is the only place where he feels in control? Before we jump to conclusions about people like Lucas, it's important to recognize that their silence could speak volumes about battles they're fighting in their own minds. Maybe, just maybe, they need compassion, not judgment. Then there's David, the middle-aged employee who's not so comfortable with technology. He's having trouble with the new system at work, and a colleague, Sarah, watches from her desk. It's easy for her to judge. How could someone not understand this by now? She might think. But what Sarah doesn't know is that David's learning curve is steeper than most. He's had to keep up with the rapid pace of technological change, and his confidence is shaken. What David needs isn't to be judged for his struggles, but patience. We've all been in a place where things don't come easily, where we feel out of our depth, and we've all needed a hand, not harsh ones. So why should we withhold that same understanding from others? Meet Tim, the man who's always running late. As he rushes to catch his train, he feels the stares of judgment from fellow commuters. To some, he's just another late passenger who doesn't care about being on time. But what they don't see is that Tim has been up all night taking care of a sick parent. He has a demanding job, and he's just trying to keep it all together day by day. It's so easy to assume that someone's tardiness reflects poor planning or laziness. But in Tim's case, it's not the truth. Sometimes people's circumstances are more complicated than they appear at first glance. Here's Maria trying to be polite. She gives way to another driver even though the traffic laws say she has the right of way. The driver behind her is irritated, honking, thinking she's being indecisive or wasting time. But what they don't realize is that Maria is a new driver, nervous and overcautious. She's trying to do the right thing, but the pressure of driving in traffic has her second-guessing herself. In moments like this, it's tempting to judge someone's driving as inefficient or overly cautious. But behind the wheel, everyone has their own fears and experiences. What seems like a mistake might be a moment of quiet bravery or a choice made out of respect for others. Daniel is often the subject of judgment because of his tattoos. For some, tattoos are a sign of rebellion or lack of professionalism. They might think he's untrustworthy or immature. But what they don't know is that each tattoo tells a story. The one on his arm represents his struggle with mental health, and the one on his chest honors a loved one he lost too soon. Tattoos, like many other outward expressions, don't tell the whole story. They don't reveal the pain, the triumphs, or the lessons learned along the way. When we judge people by their appearance, we risk missing the beauty of their journey. And here's George. He spends his afternoon sitting on this park bench, alone. To those passing by, he seems like just another lonely old man, perhaps waiting for his time to come. But what they don't know is that George is mourning the loss of his wife, who passed away a year ago. His daily visits to the park are a way to hold on to the memories they made together. Every bench, every tree, every path reminds him of her. Instead of judging George for his solitude, what if we recognize that he is simply holding on to something precious? His silence isn't loneliness, it's a quiet tribute to the love that shaped his life. We all have ways of coping with grief and loss, and sometimes they aren't visible to the world. What all these scenarios have in common is this: we only see a fraction of the story. Our perceptions are shaped by our own experiences, but they're rarely the whole truth. We judge people based on what we think we know. But what if, instead of judging, we took a step back and asked questions? What if we paused long enough to consider the untold stories, the struggles, the unseen efforts? When we stop to listen, to empathize, to understand, we begin to realize that no one is defined by a single moment. We all have layers, and each person deserves to be seen for the entirety of who they are, not just the fragment we happen to witness in passing. So, next time you feel the urge to judge, take a moment. Look a little closer. What you see on the surface is only part of the story. Behind every person is a world of experiences, struggles, and dreams. And in those moments of uncertainty, kindness can go further than judgment ever will. Remember, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you may not know about. So let's choose empathy over judgment, compassion over criticism, and connection over assumptions. If you like this video, please hit that subscribe button. Cheers to positivity.